Aloha and welcome to this trilogy of WODs in which we'll build a mock-up of the home page for Island Snow. So if I open this in a not new window. If I open this in a new tab, you can see what the Island Snow site looks like. It's got a menu across the top with icons for their social sites. They got a drop-down menu here. They have this middle their logo, and then they've got some drop-downs here. They got a big picture. Then they got some other stuff in the middle, and then they got a footer. We're not going to do all of that. What we're going to just do is that top-level menu, and then the logo, the middle menu, the big picture, and the footer. And that'll be quite enough. If you can do all these parts of it, my hope is that you'll start to feel more comfortable finding sites on the internet that you think look nice and then saying, well, I'll just do something similar in Semantic UI. Now, it is the case that there are some differences. You know, those logo icons aren't exactly the same. The font isn't exactly the same. And it's certainly possible to make a pixel-perfect replica in Semantic UI of anything that you want, pretty much. But, you know, who cares? Really what I'm interested in you doing is getting comfortable with the different Semantic UI components and understanding when you look at something on the web, you know, well, how could I get something, you know, 90% there with a small amount of code in Semantic UI. Okay, so and because this is kind of takes a while to do, not that long, but it takes a little while. I'm just going to do. I split this up into 3 WODs so that you can first experience doing the menu bar, and then we'll do the middle part, and then we'll do the footer at the end. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is the top menu bar, and so we have to start the timer. So I have to find the timer, which is here. Okay, and then I have to create a GitHub repository called Island Snow. So I'll go to GitHub, and I'll say new repo, Island Snow. And then I'll initialize with a README, and I'll say create repo, and then I'll say clone or download, open a desktop, so it'll go in my Philip M. Johnson directory, Island Snow, clone. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to create an IntelliJ project called Island Snow in my repo and 2 files in it, index.html and style.css. So I'll go to IntelliJ IDEA, create new projects, static web, find my Island Snow repo, which is here. And then once that's created, I'll do a propeller n and scroll down to HTML, index.html. Do I want to? Yeah, I'll add everything to Git, and then I'll also create a propeller n file style.css. Missing git ignore. I'm not worried about that for this WOD. Okay, so I did that, and then I'm going to load the Semantic UI and jQuery files into index.html, following the instructions in Semantic UI Hello World. So hopefully you've gone through this before, and you'll note that you just have to basically take that code and then find your index.html, which I'll do a control left arrow to get to, and then I'll cut and paste that, and that step is done. And I also want to load the style.css file in there. So one way to do that is propeller D to duplicate that line. And then we're going to replace this with style tab.css. Okay. Okay, so we're going to convert the navigation bar into a semantic UI menu. The menu element should link to the appropriate places in the text as before. Okay, so so this is the part of the menu that we're going to create, and we've got about, I don't know, 8 or so menu items in it. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. So let's do a semantic UI menu. And the easiest thing to do, if you click on these things, you get examples. So what I will do is I'll just start off by copying their code and then putting it in here. And then realizing we're not going to have a 3-item menu. In fact, if we follow the instructions, we're just going to use the borderless menu. This is, I'll delete that. That doesn't make any sense in this. So we're going to say UI borderless. The 3-item thing is when you want it equally spaced, but we're not doing that. We're going to actually have them tighter. And then the other thing that they say, each item should be fitted to reduce the space between them. So we say fitted item, fitted item, fitted item. And essentially, if you go to Semantic UI menu, you can see fitted. Okay, and then the borderless gets rid of the item, so we have a borderless menu with fitted items in it. And let's just see what that actually ends up looking like. So I'll do an Option F2, preview in Chrome, and well, you know, it's a start anyway. But another thing that we learn, or another hint that I gave you, is to wrap the menu in a container to create margins, because as we'll note here, you know, there's margins on both sides. Now we won't get the exact same number of pixels in our margin, but we'll get something, you know, close enough, right? And so how do we do that? Well, it's pretty easy. We just say div class equals UI container. Paste that in. Now I'm going to do a Command Option L to reformat my HTML code. That's super nice. It makes sure that all my indentation's correct. If I do an Option F2, go to Chrome. What I see now is, okay, much better. I've got that margin on that side, but what I need here are some icons, not text. So let's go figure out about icons. So the way I'm going to do that is go to Semantic UI icons. Boy, I was pretty smart at Google and know exactly what I want to do. And what do I need? I need the Facebook icon. So I go to this icon place, and what you'll see is there's this bunch of icons. But if I go to the brands at the bottom, and I know that you're going to have to kind of spend some time with this. Here's the one that I need. So how do I see what that actually looks like? Again, I'm going to click on this, that little angle bracket thing, which enables me to actually see the code used to produce these. And what I actually need is the Facebook F icon. So instead of editorial, I'm going to put in the Facebook F, and then I'm going to preview that to see, oh, perfect. Okay, that looks good. So what else do I need? I need Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Now it turns out that most of the time you can almost just guess at what these icons are going to do. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. What I'm going to do is I'm going to guess. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, so I'll go to Chrome, and I guessed correctly. So now we've got our 4 icons. That's really nice on that side. And then we have to make everything else go to the right. So now we've got a home icon, a search icon, some kind of dude icon. If I go a little bigger so you can see. home icon search, dude, my cart, shopping cart, 0, and there's a drop-down menu there. All right, so that's going to be a little more complicated. And let's just start to get close to that. So we need home, search, and a user. So let's do a propeller D to duplicate home, search, user. Let's see if we can find these things. We go to web content. Okay, so here's home. That's just going to be HOME. Search. That's just going to be search. Here's shop. That's the shopping cart that we need. And then we just need a user. What's this guy? User. Okay. So there's the icons that we need. Let's put them in. So and then what we can do is we can say fitted right to start moving all these guys over to the right side. So home, search, user. And then let's preview that. Great. Okay, so we're doing good. Pretty good. We got home, search, user. Now we need this my cart. If we go to the actual site, we can see that this is actually a drop-down menu. It says your cart is currently empty. So basically all three of these things are kind of the same piece. So we'll put them all together. But to do that, we have to figure out how a drop-down menu works. And so let's go here. And let's look at the first code. Unfortunately, the first code it's got a lot of stuff in the menu which we don't need. So I think that what I suggest to do is to go, okay, div class UI dropdown. Here's the file. That's the top level. These two pieces are what will appear at the highest level. And then we got a menu, and then we got our first menu item. So we can take this, propeller C, and then we can paste that into our code, and then that looks to match with our div. So if we do a propeller matter L, we need one more propeller matter L. Okay, so now we've got this drop-down menu. Let's just preview it and see what the heck it looks like. Okay, well it's there. It doesn't look that good, and it doesn't even work. Okay, so going back to our drop-down thing, what we'll notice is in usage that we need some JavaScript to actually activate the drop-down. If you watch that tutorial thing at Pluralsight, they also talked about this. So this should be kind of reminiscent to you that you have to, when things don't work, it's probably because there's some JavaScript that you have to do. So let's copy that and go back, and we'll at the bottom of the page. Okay, you got to put a script that activates it. So if you put it at the top of the page, it's still not going to work. It's got to go beneath after the actual layout of the thing to activate it. Okay, and so then if we preview this, what we'll see is, okay, at least the drop-down now works. That's good, but it's still like not formatted correctly and doesn't say the right things. Let's try to fix the formatting first. And the point is that we say UI dropdown, but it actually should be an item in this other one. So let's say item. In fact, let's say fitted item, because that's what it is. And so if we preview that, bam, now it looks like all the other ones. So that's good, but it doesn't have the right content. So what is the right content? Let's go back to our site. The right content is supposed to be my cart with that shop icon and a 0. And then the drop-down thing, which we actually still have. Whoops. Which we actually have the drop-down thing already. So let's go back. It's supposed to say my cart, and then We have a shop icon, and then we have that 0. Okay, so let's preview that. Okay, not bad, you know. And then I think we're supposed to say my cart is currently empty, right? When you pull it down, so we'll say my cart is currently empty. Preview that, and then we do this. Okay, all right. As a kind of an exercise to the reader, I'm going to say, you notice that this is on hover. You don't have to click to pull down these menus, it's just on a hover. And I'm not going to do it for this WOD because there's enough going on here. But just note that with like 2 lines of code, you can edit the settings on the drop-down JavaScript to make this menu pull down on hover. So it's very simple to do. You just Google on Semantic UI drop-down hover, and you'll find it. All right, so we're getting close. But we need to change the background color of the menu to match the real site. Remove the box shadow and the border. That's because if you look here, you can see we've got this little gray in the real site. We've got this gray background but no border. But if we go to ours, we don't have the gray background, but we do have a border, and we even have a border shadow. So we've got to add the gray background and get rid of the border and the border shadow. How are we going to do that? First thing we need to know is, what is this gray? Okay, so this is your classic thing. You're going to bring up Chrome Developer Tools, click on the inspector, and we're going to sneak around this site to figure out what color they're using. So I'm going to click here, and all of a sudden it shows up right here that the color that it's using is called F5, F5, F5. So I'm just going to select that, propeller copy it, and now I have the color. But the question is, how do we actually put that color in here? And the way you're going to do it is the way I would do it is by overloading this class, okay, or this set of classes. So we can go to style.css, and if we said, what is it, UI borderless menu, .ui .borderless .menu, okay, then we can do something like border color, put in our color, okay, and then if we go back to here and we preview, what did I do wrong? UI borderless menu. Not border color, background color. Okay, we put background color in there, and we go to index.html, and we preview. Okay, we get the same background color for our menu as in the island snow, but we still have that irritating line here that we want to get rid of. Now what I do want to say is, the problem is now whenever we have a borderless menu in our site, we're going to always get that overriding, and that's probably not what you want. You maybe want, and as we'll see actually, later on, we're going to have a menu. We're going to have a menu right here, which is also borderless, but doesn't have a gray background. So we can't just override every single borderless menu background for this site. So how do we fix that? And I'll show you a simple trick. Let's create a kind of a class called top menu, but it's not going to really be defined except as part of what makes this set of classes unique for the purposes of overriding. So if I now say UI borderless top menu dot menu, okay, what's now the case is that I still have my gray background, But now that overriding is going to apply only to that specific set of classes in conjunction, which is only going to happen one place in my site because I'm not going to use that top menu thing anywhere else. Okay, so that's a cool way to do that. But we still the one last thing we want to get rid of is the box shadow and border. Okay, and that's pretty easy because, as you might expect, you can say box shadow none, border none. And so I give you hints to kind of reduce the amount of searching around to see what it is that these things are doing. And then if I preview, okay, now that looks really good, very close, mostly close to what the actual Island Snow site looks like, which is here. We're going to call that good enough as for demonstrative. You can see the fonts are a little different and so forth, and we could fix that, but we're not gonna. So we'll call that 19 minutes to do that, which is fairly long just for the menu item. But I think, as you'll see, as you get faster at these things, you'll be able to 20 minutes be able to replicate components of other sites, and that's a good skill to have. All right, so we'll stop the timer. At 1844, oh, we won't stop the timer because there's a couple things we need to do still, which is commit to GitHub and check to see that it's there. So we'll go here. We got all this stuff. Say menu done. Commit and sync master. And what the heck, we'll just call this 20 minutes. And then we'll go to Island Snow, view on GitHub, and there's our files. All right, so we'll call this a 20-minute initial WOD. In some ways, it's the hardest one, and so if you get through this, maybe have to do it a couple times to feel good about it, but then you can move on to the remaining ones.